Geek Therapy Radio.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. I am recording live. Get it? It doesn't make much sense. I am recording live from the man cave in my home. I hope everything sounds okay. I know it sounds okay. I take pride in the way my audio sounds. Way back in the day, which was 2003, I went to audio engineering school, and I've kept up with it, to say the least, over the last, what is it now, 18 years? Oh, no. I just made myself sad. Does that ever happen to you? I know it's kind of a funny trope that, or a meme you've seen where you think, 10 years ago, what was that, 1995, 1991? No, the 90s weren't 10 years ago. The 90s were, I got goosebumps at how horrible this sounds. The 90s were 30 years ago. Well, not technically 38 years ago. 1991. I'm sorry to be bumming you out. 1991 was 30 years ago as of recording this broadcast. Oh my goodness. And I did not know I was going to get derailed on this right off the bat, reminiscing about how long ago decades were. And I know there's some of you driving around or listening in your garage or whatever, geeking out with me today here on Geek Therapy Radio, and you're thinking, son, in 1991, I was 60 years old, or I was 50 years old, or I was 40 years old. Son, I was in college in the 80s. I was in college in the 70s. Well, that may be true, and that likely is true for a lot of listeners, but it's all relative. I think back to 1991 the way somebody who's twice my age thinks back to 1960, I guess it would be. So 1991, let me just paint the picture here. I was 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 8 years old? Yeah, 8 years old in 1991. August 1991, I was 8 years old. I'm counting on my fingers like a toddler. 8 years old. So what would I have been doing? I would have just moved to Kingwood the year before. My family and I moved to Kingwood, Texas in 1989, and I went to Willow Creek Elementary. What's up, Cardinals? Are there any Cardinals listening? What are the odds that an alumni of Willow Creek Elementary in Kingwood, Texas is listening right now? I guess if you're listening in Houston, it's fairly decent odds. But yeah, so 1991, I was 8 years old. I would have been in second grade at that time, I believe. I was held back here. Let me tell you that story real quick. And in this podcast, I do want to talk a little bit about, in this broadcast, I do want to talk about a little bit about Raspberry Pi, GameStop stocks. I'm going to explain that and whatever else comes to mind here. I've been playing a lot of video games recently, but I'll explain that in a moment. So I said I was going to explain why I was held back a year in school. First of all, I was held back in kindergarten. I was not held back in elementary school. But being held back a year means that I was always kind of the oldest in my class, because I would turn a year older over the summertime. My birthday is August 25th. So by the time we started the next school year, I was already, for instance, I started senior year of high school 18 years old. I believe that's the way it would have worked out. I was 18 years old within either over the summer or within the first few weeks of high school, while everyone else was 17, and they had birthdays, and they would have birthdays in like over the holidays, over December, January, February, all that kind of stuff. Middle of the school year is all I'm saying. I beat them, which means I got my driver's license before anyone else, which means I was a chauffeur for a little while. But back to why I was held back. I was held back in kindergarten when I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and went to Shepherd of the Hills Elementary School. My goodness, I'm getting nostalgic here. I was held back because they didn't figure out that I needed glasses until way too far into my first year of kindergarten. The teachers noticed that, not only was I left-handed, so my handwriting right off the bat was never going to be that great. I have never met a left-handed person whose handwriting was immaculate as a right-handed person's. My wife's handwriting is really, really, really good. She's also left-handed. That's why I'm mentioning that. She's a lefty. Her handwriting is really, really good. But I've never I would be very interested to meet a left-handed calligrapher. Is that calligraphy? Calligrapher? What am I saying? Calligrapher? I would like to meet a left-handed one of those. So if you know a left-handed one of those, please let me know. But they noticed not only was I writing my name in kindergarten, writing my name terribly due to my left-handedness, they could not force me to use my right hand, but I was writing each letter twice. So if I was learning how to spell my name, for instance, and this is kind of sad, if I was learning to spell my name, for instance, my name is Johnny, Johnnny, I would write JJOOHHNNNNYY, because what would happen is I would cross my eyes, and when I would cross my eyes, the double letters would converge into one. I don't know how that all works. All I know is that my teachers noticed that I was crossing my eyes when I wrote, and that was the only way to kind of make sense of what I was seeing. And I'm really young. You know, I'm I would be 5 or 6 years old at this point. I don't know that this is the way the world, doesn't work. Everything's just normal to you. That's one of the fascinating things about growing up as a child, and one of the fascinating things I'm going to go through raising my son Riker. But I don't know that anything's odd. I'm crossing my eyes to put things into focus when I'm 5 or 6 years old. I don't know that that's not what everybody does. How would I know? I have no kind of reference point to other people's lives at that age. I just thought it was normal. So then I got glasses, and I don't remember actually going to the eye doctor to get the prescription of glasses, but I do remember my mom or dad constantly, well, not constantly, but several times bringing my glasses to me in class. I should mention that we shared our backyard fence with the schoolyard. Literally walking to school was walking through our backyard out the gate, and we were on the playground of Shepherd of the Hills Elementary School. So it's not like it was it was just a walk. My mom would be, washing dishes or something like that and realize, oh, Johnny left his glasses on the coffee table, and she would walk, 50 yards to the classroom and give them to me. And I remember when I first got glasses, one of the first things I said was, "Everything looks so clean." Isn't that sad? A fuzzy-eyed little boy getting glasses for the first time. "Everything looks so clean, Mommy." And that's the story of how I was held back. So they put me through kindergarten again, now with glasses, now that I could see and I was up to speed on my education. So let's talk about GameStop's stocks here in the next segment. You're listening to Geek Therapy Radio. Grab the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in your favorite podcast app. Look for the red, white, and black color scheme, and that's me. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Remember, you can find the podcast in your favorite podcast app. Of course, we here at iHeartMedia prefer the iHeartRadio app, but whatever app you're using, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, those are all very popular as well. Just search for the Geek Therapy Radio podcast. Look for the red, white, and black color scheme, and that's how you know you've got me. Also, the social media, I'll plug all that good stuff in the website, geektherapyradio.com. The very first thing you ever see on geektherapyradio.com is a contact form. It's just to let me know. It's just to let me know what you're a geek about. Make questions, comments, whatever. Start a conversation. I can't reiterate this enough. This does not put you on any sort of mailing list. I am not that big of an operation. Geek Therapy Radio, in its aggregate, in its total, is just me, for better or worse. I don't even have a co-host, for better or worse. I have regular guests on the show, but the whole operation here has been from the beginning and has always been and will be into the foreseeable future just me. So there's not to say that I couldn't set up a mailing list and then flood your email boxes with follow-ups of Geek Therapy Radio or products, or, hey, I've got this new item in my merch store, a new beach towel or a new coffee mug or new stickers, whatever. It's none of that. It's literally just like sending me an email. So go to geektherapyradio.com. You'll see that form right there. It's just a contact form. It doesn't sign you up for jack squat. It's just a way to talk to me directly. Another good way to talk to me directly is just to email me. johnny@geektherapyradio.com. One more time, that's just Johnny, Johnny, not JJOOHNNNNYY. It's just JOHNNY @geektherapyradio.com. That's my direct email. My phone will probably bing. Actually, my phone doesn't bing for email. I can't imagine a worse hell. I can't imagine a worse hell. But one aspect of hell for me would be getting notifications of emails. I don't know how some of y'all do it. I flat out don't know how some of y'all do it. I can understand if it's a core part of your work, if it's a core part of your job, but the idea of having my Yahoo account or my even work email right now bring and vibrate and send me notifications to my phone, it's maddening to think about. I don't even have social media send me notifications on my phone. Some people do. Some people get vibrations and notifications when somebody comments on one of their Facebook posts. How do you do it? I can't imagine anything much worse than being a slave to it. I check social media when I check social media. That's one way I keep social media in check in my personal life is I have all the notifications disabled. I will check Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that when I want to. On my terms, on my time. I don't want to give Mark Zuckerberg any more little hooks into my life, any more little lures into my life. Thanks, Zuck. I will check Facebook whenever I darn well choose to check Facebook. I can't imagine having notifications turned on for social media. To each their own, though. If you do that, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just saying for me, I can't imagine. The only thing, and I'll get to GameStop here in a second, the only thing that I let vibrate my phone or ring my phone or notify my phone is text messages, phone calls, and I have silent notifications. That means they don't beep, they don't do anything. I can see them on the top of my phone when I do it. Is Marco Polo. If anybody has the Marco Polo app, I have Marco Polo just so I can see when my friends internationally are trying to talk to me directly. It's not a social media platform where you have 300 friends posting all over the place. We have like 4 or 5 friends in the group, and I'll get a notification at the top of my phone silently that, Daniel S. has left a message on Polo, has left a video on Polo, something like that. What else do I have notifying my phone? I have Amazon deliveries. I do have Amazon deliveries notify because you don't want, porch thieves. You don't want people stealing your stuff off of from your front door. So I have Amazon notifications when a package is delivered. So there's very few notifications I have on my phone. I would be very curious now that I'm talking about this to let me know what notifications you do or don't allow on your phone. You can email me, Johnny@geektherapyradio.com, or you can just go to geektherapyradio.com and look at the form like I just mentioned. You can also let me know on Twitter. It's just Geek Therapy Radio podcast, I think, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Really, any social media you're looking at or podcast app, anything, look for the red, white, and black color scheme. That's the way you know for sure it's me. I think there's 1 or 2 other Geek Therapy networks, Geek Therapy type things out there, podcasts and institutions. It's not me. And there's a reason why brands color code their brand, and I've color coded mine red, white, and black. If you see that combination or any combination of those colors, that's how you know it's my brand of Geek Therapy Radio. But let me know on social media or email me, whatever, what kind of notifications you do and don't allow on your phone. Maybe you just want to ask me, how do I stop those freaking notifications? Well, it can't hurt to ask. So GameStop has been in the news due to their what could be argued as a meteoric rise in their stock value. Now, let's preface this by saying GameStop is a company that is suffering. GameStop is kind of, I don't know of anybody who loves GameStop. GameStop is always the butt end of a joke. If you take the joke is basically that you take your entire video game collection. All right, let's say you bought a brand new PS5. You somehow were lucky enough to get your hands on a brand new PlayStation 5. You spent, $450, $500 or so if you didn't buy one from a scalper for more. Let's just say you spent let's just say you spent $500 on a console, and the next day you went to GameStop. The joke is that GameStop would offer you $20 of in-store credit for a $500 console. There is no love lost between gamers and GameStop. I will say, though, that for me, my personal relationship with GameStop has been one of purely one way. Maybe 25 years ago, I may have traded in some NES games towards a Super Nintendo game way back in the day. But more recently, over the past couple decades, my only interaction with GameStop is to buy a used video game. That is all I've ever done. I've hardly ever, if ever, traded in anything since I was a child. In my entire adult life, in the past 15 years, it's always been a one-way transaction. Going in there to buy a used Nintendo 3DS, going in there to buy a used Wii game, going in there to buy a used PlayStation 3 game, whatever it is. I never gave them anything. I never traded anything towards credit because it was horrible. It was a freaking scam. It was a complete scam. So GameStop is a company that's suffering. One would speculate that they are pivoting to an entirely e-commerce platform. Regardless, stock prices of GameStop were as low as single digits. Fairly recently, within the past year, single digits. It's not a company that anyone in the right mind would have thought about investing in seriously. Maybe someone would play around it, depending how much money you had. Maybe someone would throw $500 at GameStop stock just to see, hey, if this e-commerce thing works out and the price goes up or doubles, then I'm fine. If it doesn't and I'm out $500 or $400, however the stock price works before you get out of it, maybe you only go down $200. It was something to kind of play with in that regard. It wasn't a company that had a lot of that stock investors had a lot of confidence in. To say the company's volatile is an understatement. Well, those rascals at Reddit, long story short, and I'll explain this more in a little bit. Long story short, falsely inflated the stock prices of GameStop. There is a subreddit. Well, I'll get into the next segment, but exactly what the subreddit is. But one of the subreddits basically rallied the troops, and everybody and their grandmother in the subreddit started, and outside the subreddit, started investing in GameStop, and that artificially started making the stock price increase. At times, it was as high as $350. Remember, it was as low as $5 or $7 not too long ago, less than a year ago, and then it was shooting up to $350. Something is wrong there. Something is very wrong there, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Look for the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in your favorite podcast app. I can't stress that enough. And subscribe to it. That'd be awesome. If you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. I don't know, ask for that nearly enough. That would be amazing. Geek Therapy Radio podcast on Apple Podcast. Review it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Grab the podcast in your favorite podcast app. That's the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spreaker, the iHeartRadio app, of course, Spotify. It's all over the place. Just search for Geek Therapy Radio podcast. Look for the red, white, and black color scheme, and that is yours truly and nobody else. All right, in the previous segment, we were talking about a bunch of scallywag Redditors artificially inflating the stock price of GameStop. The subreddit is called Wall Street Bets, and it has a subscriber base who subscribe to this subreddit of about 2.9 million as of recording right now. It's a huge subreddit. For those of you who, there's probably not anybody listening that doesn't know at least a little bit about what Reddit is. Basically, if you have a common interest, you make a subreddit on reddit.com and you get like-minded individuals. So there's subreddits about botany, there's subreddits about gardening, there's subreddits about PC gaming, of course, there's subreddit about being an audiophile, there's a subreddit about cartoons, subreddit about art, there's a subreddit about anything you can think of. So this subreddit called Wall Street Bets was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, stock type of subreddit there is. 2.9 million subscribers to that subreddit at reddit.com. A bunch of them got this this ball in motion to start investing in GameStop when it was down in single-digit stock prices, and it has skyrocketed to well over 1,000% of its original stock price. If it started around $5, $7 before all this happened, it peaked as high as $350 a share during the height of this. Right now, as of recording, it's in between $100 and $200. But this stock wavers so much and fluctuates so much it makes Tesla stock look nuts. I got out of Tesla stock a couple years ago because I couldn't, as much as I respected Elon Musk for being the genius as he is, I do not trust him as far as I can throw a stone with my money, with the stock, like with my future, with any part of my future. And I don't think he would expect me to either. We won't go into his run-ins with the FEC and with other trade commissions over his big mouth on social media regarding stocks, not just Tesla and SpaceX, but other, including GameStop. One could argue that his recent tweets about GameStop, calling GameStop stonks is a meme about stocks. Him just merely tweeting that out there to his millions of followers was enough to actually make a shift in the market, a big enough shift in the GameStop stock that the entire market fluctuates along with it. It sends ripples out. So we won't talk about that. But that is one thing that all of this investment in the GameStop stock has done. It has artificially sent these ripples through hedge funds in the stock market, and I'm not even going to pretend to understand what it all means and what all the ramifications are. I do know that hedge fund managers and people with hedge funds have lost billions of dollars collectively. Some people have called what Reddit has done to the GameStop stocks a sort of Robin Hood type of situation where they've taken from these hedge funds and basically made those people lose billions of dollars to facilitate the value of this artificial value of GameStop stock. It's very complicated, and this is not trade advice. I do not know what I'm talking about with stock investment. I have my own stocks. I do my own homework, and I have made some very safe bets over the past year since March, since the pandemic started. I will not tell you exactly what stocks I've invested in, just that they were worth investing in. It wasn't oil and gas. I didn't invest in oil and gas during the pandemic because it just didn't. Well, I'll get off that. I'll get off that. I do my own investing, and it has worked out okay for me, I will just say. But as far as the intricacies of day trading and hedge funds and portfolios and what works and what doesn't work for you or for anybody else, I can't specify. I can tell you the initial reason why these Redditors started investing in GameStop, and it's what I alluded to in the previous segment, is that it's no mystery that GameStop as a company is fledgling, and it's always on the teeter of complete dissolution, of complete liquidity, of complete receivership, dissolving, turning to dust. It is in dire straits. GameStop is in dire straits, and like I mentioned, there's no love lost between gamers and GameStop. All of those nonsense words out of the way. Past 60 seconds of words that don't exist, half of them at least probably. The reason why these subredditors initially started investing in GameStop is that they believed that GameStop was so fledgling that it would dissolve any minute, that it would go bankrupt any minute, and GameStop would have to pay out to the shareholders once they dissolve in some sort of way. Maybe they wouldn't get all their money back. The shareholders wouldn't get all their money back, but they would get something. It would be this kind of quick windfall. So there was this artificial inflating of the GameStop price so that maybe the GameStop price would stay there at $350 a share, up from $5 a share, and then GameStop would go under, and these investors would cash out on their stocks, and they would get this huge return before the bottom fell out. That was the idea. Needless to say, it has caused great turmoil. Great turmoil on Wall Street. And the SEC, what did I say earlier? FEC, the SEC is even considering filing some sort of protocol, some sort of regulations to kind of safeguard against this type of activity in the future, because it is dangerous. Like I mentioned, those hedge fund managers or whoever they are that lost billions of dollars on this, because they took a gamble themselves. They took a gamble. Some people took a gamble on GameStop. This is the way apparently some of the way that's the stock market works. People take a gamble on a company not doing well. You can make money in the stock market, and this is safe to say, whether it's a bull market or bear market, whether stocks are going up and down. If you know what you're doing, which I do not fully know what I'm doing, and I'm not suggesting that anybody do this. If you know what you're doing, you can make money in the stock market no matter what's doing, during a recession, during a depression, during a market surge, during a good market. Part of the market being around 30,000. I think the Dow Jones is the Dow around 30,000. It's during a pandemic seems so shaky to me. And this GameStop thing is just like really playing into that shakiness and that shadiness. And at the end of the day, it's not real. GameStop's value is not real. I question the value of Tesla. They say Tesla is the most valuable car company in the world, and it's kind of funny to think about that. Tesla, what? If you told the average person Tesla is the most valuable car company in the entire world, and they would think, well, Toyota, Volkswagen, Honda. Toyota used to be the biggest car manufacturer in the world, car company in the world. And then you think Toyota produces millions of products per year, millions of pickup trucks, millions of sedans, millions of coupes, millions of specialty vehicles, millions of machinery. They produce a product on the scale of millions per year. So it makes sense that they are valued what they're valued at, the most valuable car company in the world. But now Tesla is the most valuable car company in the world. And that makes you think, Tesla is not selling millions of cars. Tesla is selling thousands of cars at best. They are a low volume manufacturer. Tesla it's no mystery that they have had a hard time meeting deadlines of production deadlines. They say the Cybertruck's going to come out in 2022. I'll believe it when I see it. I really want it to come out in 2022. Availability is going to be one thing. They said that the Model 3 was going to be $35,000. Yeah, right. Good luck trying to get a $35,000 Tesla Model 3. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that at best you will be waiting for quite a while before you take delivery of a $35,000 Tesla Model 3. Production has gotten better for Tesla. Musk and the team are developing more cars, and they are ramping up production. But they have had their fair share of challenges, to say the least. They are nowhere. Tesla isn't a pimple on the butt of Toyota. There is so much investment in Tesla, so much subsidizing, so much investment. It's like people are investing in the future of Tesla. They think that Tesla is going to be where Tesla says it's going to be in the future. And it's not futures. That's a different type of stock. But people are investing in Tesla because they think Tesla is going to be what Elon Musk says it's going to be in the near future. That stock price, I don't know where it's at right now. It's like 4 digits right now. That stock price is going to actually be worth it. The shareholders have faith that stock's going to be worth it by the time that they get out of it. It's all nuts. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. For the first time in my life, well, I need to phrase this correctly. It's not that I don't have anything to do. It's that I have about 3 weeks between jobs. It's not like I don't have anything to do because I have a newborn son. I have an infant son. So my days are filled with taking care of and helping my wife take care of little baby boy Riker. So I have this time and this opportunity, and I'm taking this opportunity to really indulge in being with my son at this time in his life, where for worse, a lot of people are being, forced to work from home now. And I know that for a lot of people that sounds easy, but for people with little kids and toddlers, that's not the easiest thing in the world. But on the flip side, it means that I am getting to spend a lot more time with baby Riker right now. And I am just soaking that up. I'm soaking up every second of this opportunity between jobs, this 3 weeks between jobs, to get stuff done around the house, of course, just to be with my son. Just watch him grow, because at this age, he's going to be 3 months, like tomorrow as of recording. At this age, so much changes day to day. His personality evolves and becomes more intricate every day. It seems like he's growing every day. It's nuts. I love my son. He laughs at Daddy. You see that, Daddy? Who that, Daddy? And he just smiles and coos. Oh, so sweet. So I'm enjoying that. One of the other things that I'm enjoying, though, is while I'm bouncing Riker with my foot, is I'm playing a lot of video games. I'm playing more video games now more regularly than I have ever done, probably since I was a teenager. Since I was 15 years old, I was always working. Always working. There was a time when I lived in the Woodlands in about 2006-ish, 2007-ish, where I freelanced, which is basically another way of saying 99.9% unemployed. Freelancing was the worst, especially at that age. This is before Dropbox, and I was freelancing as an audio engineer. So I was mixing albums for people, recording songs for people, mastering albums for people, mastering songs for people. This is before Dropbox. This was me running around town in Houston in my busted old Volkswagen GTI with a USB stick with a 512 megabyte USB stick, maybe a gigabyte USB stick if you were ballin', and going to put somebody's album on that 1 gigabyte USB stick, or a few songs on the 512 megabyte stick, if they were WAV files at least. But literally driving around town to put I would drive to the south side of town. Yeah, I would drive 60 miles away, load up this person's music onto this USB stick, take it back up to the Woodlands and master it or mix the song or whatever I would do to it, and then I would have to take it back or burn a CD, and I would get these gold 24 karat gold archival grade CDs that are supposed to last 100 years or whatever it is, and I would burn the master of the album or burn the master songs to this gold CD, drive it all the way back across town to them. And this was freelancing, so I wasn't making a lot of money, and that was just a lot of gas. But that was the last time that I was 99.9% unemployed. And that's probably the last time I played the amount of video games that I'm playing right now in my 3 weeks between jobs. I haven't completed a story-based game in so long, up until last weekend. So the first game that I've completed, played start to finish, because what usually happens is, I'm not going to say I'm too busy, but, this is Geek Therapy Radio. I've got a geek mind. I tinker with things. My mind goes to other things, other interests, and it's really hard to kind of keep me sitting down in front of a video game for hours at a time. But the last video game that I finished, start to finish, was Sniper Elite 4. Sniper Elite is an awesome series, to say the least. It captured my attention, and I played it on the Nintendo Switch. I didn't even play it on my gaming PC. I have it on Steam, and I've played a couple of missions here and there on the PC, but I played it start to finish on the Nintendo Switch, because the Nintendo Switch is 1,000 times easier to play when you have an infant, because you can sit there bobbing the infant in his bouncy chair with one foot and have the Switch or the Nintendo Switch Lite. I treated myself to a Nintendo Switch Lite on my last day at iHeartMedia. Bought a Nintendo Switch Lite. I should do a review on the Nintendo Switch Lite because I love it. I have the Nintendo Switch. Some people might think, well, why get a Switch Lite when you have a Nintendo Switch? It feels so much better in the hands. The controls are so much better, and it's so much more solid feeling. The screen's a little bit smaller. This is not a full review. I'm just giving my brief synopsis of why I adore the Switch Lite. It just feels so much better, and it's so easy to play when you have an infant bouncing on your foot in his bouncy chair. So I was able to play through Sniper Elite 4 all the way through, and in fact, when I beat the game, I thought, was that it? Is this the last level? It seems short to me, but it really wasn't. I mean, I guess some would say it's short. I don't know how many hours total. 20 hours? 30 hours? Maybe it's more than that. It seems short because it's such a good game, and that's the mark of a good game. I loved Sniper Elite 4. I'm going to play Sniper Elite 3. I have all 4 Sniper Elites in my Steam library. I'm going through Sniper Elite 3, which is basically the same as 4, on my gaming PC in 4K, 60 frames a second. It's glorious. But I've been completing games. I've completed Sniper Elite version 4. I'm going through Call of Juarez. What is it? What is the Call of Juarez on Switch? There's only one Call of Juarez on Switch. Call of Juarez came out in like 2009. The first Call of Juarez, at least it was. Call of Juarez is a great series. I think there's at least 2 Call of Juarezes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I don't think I'm mistaken. I'm playing the Call of Juarez on the Nintendo Switch. It looks pretty good on the Switch, and it's very fun on the Switch. And it's an old Western. It's a Western that's done really, really well. I haven't played all the way through Red Dead Redemption, so I can't comment on it. Red Dead Redemption is an extremely popular game. But Call of Juarez was on the Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing through it. I'm probably going to beat that too. I'm already further along in Call of Juarez than I've ever gotten. I've got Call of Juarez on my gaming PC in my Steam library. So I've been playing video games, and I've kind of been making it a point to play video games. One reason is, yes, I don't want to call it stuck, but I am tethered to my son, keeping him happy and being ready to feed him and putting him down for naps and bouncing him and consoling him and burping him and listening to him toot and whatever else he needs. So I played the video games, and I've been kind of forcing myself to be okay with it. And I know that might sound strange to some people, but it's not strange to others. In the past, I would have felt guilty. This is just me personally. I can't speak for anybody else. Just me personally. I would feel guilty if I spent like 4 hours playing a video game. Because I would think it's the same reason why I don't go to a lot of movies. I'm thinking 2.5 hours for a movie, 2.5 hours playing video games, 4 hours playing video games. What could I fix? Like, I could fix a cassette deck in that amount of time. I could get an old CRT monitor working in that amount of time. I could do something around the house in that amount of time. I could tinker with the computer in that amount of time. I could make a song in that amount of time. Do something creative like with my hands. But video games are meant to be enjoyed. It's entertainment. It's relaxation. People use it for that effect, and you buy video games to do just that. So I've kind of been forcing myself, Johnny, it's okay to sit down and play a video game. It's okay to sit here and play Call of Juarez for 2 hours while Riker naps. It's completely okay. You've got time. Just relax and enjoy yourself. Veg out and play some video games. It's okay. All the projects you're going to have to do, they'll be waiting for you. It's okay. You can play video games. So I've been playing a lot of video games. I also got a little 2.5-inch e-ink display that e-ink hat to put on my Raspberry Pi Zero. I want to make a little weather station or whatever project. It's an e-ink hat, e-ink display for the Raspberry Pi Zero. I'll let you know how that goes. Most importantly, I want you to know that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of giving love. You are worthy of receiving love, and you are worthy of your own self-respect. When someone says they love you, don't listen to that little demon in your head saying, I'm not worthy of love. They don't love me. I'm not worthy of it. Don't listen to the demon in your head saying that you're not worthy of loving yourself. Yes, you are. You are worthy of love, giving and receiving love, and your own self-respect. Take care. I'll talk to you next week. If you'd like to sponsor Geek Therapy Radio, just go to geektherapyradio.com and let's talk.